Okay, so the DBQ assignment is something that we do across the board in social studies. We do these in world history, U.S. history, economics. This particular PowerPoint is designed for the U.S. history class for the big DBQ that they do, and they do it over the Constitution. Now that's not what yours is going to be over in world history, but it's what we're going to do here for an example, okay? Now DBQ stands for document-based questioning, okay? Now again, in history, what are we, y'all can answer me right here, what are we primarily interested in history? Written documents, right? So we're going to look at analyzing documents. Remember we used the orange sheet and some other sheets to analyze documents? When you sit down to do a research paper, you have to be able to take those documents and break them down. Now, when you've written research papers in the past, you've probably been given a topic and you were told to go do a bunch of research. So you spent a bunch of days in the library and some of you still came back with not very good resources, okay? Y'all know how to use the internet to find stuff. So we're skipping that process. I'm giving you the resources, okay? You're analyzing them and you're coming to your own conclusions based on those documents. Now, so in this particular example that we're going over in this PowerPoint, it's the Constitution. And that's not what yours is going to be about world, but this is the example. So what is a DBQ? It stands for document-based questioning. In other words, we're going to do four things. We're going to analyze documents, which I'm going to give you several documents. You're going to draw conclusions and ideas from those documents. Then you're going to choose a side to a question based on those ideas. What we do in history is we don't just look at written records, we try to solve problems about the past, okay? And answer questions. So there's going to be a big question and you're going to have to pick a side. And I've asked you this before, have you ever had a teacher ask you or tell you that your opinion doesn't matter? Yes. That's not true in here. Your opinion matters so long as what?
You can back it up.
You can back it up. What are we going to back it up with? Our documents. Okay? The documents have to back you up. If the documents from the past don't back you up, then you probably either need to find better documents or more documents, or maybe you're wrong. Okay? Then you write a 5-paragraph essay. Now in this particular thing that you guys are doing today in World, you're not writing the essay. So you're doing what we call a mini-Q. You're doing everything up to the point of writing the essay, and then we're stopping. So we're not going to actually write the essay this time. That's called a mini-Q. Now if somebody's watching this video later and you have to do the essay, that's a full DBQ. That means you wind up writing an essay, you've done the whole process and you're writing the essay. Now in a mini-Q, you stop just before the essay. Now in the 5-paragraph essay though, you would have an introduction, 3 body paragraphs, and a conclusion. All right? But we're going to develop everything as if we were writing the essay. And I feel like if I can get you through that process, then in the future, we're going to write one essay this semester, but we're going to do several mini-Qs to prepare to write an essay and just not write the essay. If you can do this part, steps 1 through 3, then you can write a good essay in history. So I'm going to teach you that part, and that way when you get into college or whatever, you'll write really good essays for history, okay? Now, this is the question that the U.S. history kids have to deal with. How did the Constitution guard against tyranny? Anybody know what tyranny is, Dawson?
When a tyrant king takes over.
When a tyrant king takes over, can you tell me what a tyrant is?
Not a good leader. A powerful leader who...
Powerful, cruel,
abusive.
corrupt, not good, abusive. That's what we mean. That's probably the best way to put it. A person who abuses their power is a tyrant, okay? So the question is, how does our Constitution, which is our social contract between the people and the government, how does that protect the people from one tyrant taking over? Well, I guess the first question is, what is tyranny? We just answered that. The second question would be, does it guard against tyranny? Okay, we got to ask that question. So you're going to have to figure out, does it guard against tyranny or tyranny? I don't care how you say it. And if it does, how does it do that? Okay, so that's going to take some analysis. Now here's the process. You're going to get a form that I've created for you in some way, shape, or form on Google Classroom. You guys are going to have that for World. And you're going to complete the entire assignment on this form. Now for you it's a Google Doc. It may be a Google form that I've created for you that you're going to go through this process. But in this class right now, you guys have a Google Doc. You're going to complete the whole thing on that Google Doc. You understand? You'll have a PDF file that's got all your information and all your documents, and on the other file you're going to have where you're going to do the actual work. So step one is to analyze. You have to look at the documents, okay? And you have to answer the questions. Remember, it's document-based questioning, right? That's what the Q is. So there are questions to help you analyze those documents. Just like when I give you a document in class and I give you that orange sheet, what's that orange sheet helping you to do? Analyze the documents, okay? How do I know how to use a document if I don't look at it and ask myself some questions about it? That's what we're doing. Then step two, based on my analysis, based on my research, I'm going to choose a side or an argument that my essay is going to be about, okay? Then I have to have at least 3 reasons to back up my side of the argument. Okay? A good solid argument has at least 3 things to back it up. Okay? And if you're going to do a 5-paragraph essay, the 3 body paragraphs, guess what the 3 body paragraphs are going to be about? Right. All right. Step 4 is to separate your documents. This is a process we call bucketing. So what you want to do is pretend you have 3 buckets. Each of those buckets is going to represent what? One of your reasons. So reason 1, reason 2, reason 3. Then what you're going to do is look at your documents. Let's say I have document A, B, and C. Okay? I need to look at reason 1 and say, does document A back up reason 1? If it does, throw A in the first bucket. Okay? Does the document A represent reason 2? It may or may not. If it does, put that in the bucket. It may or may not back up reason C, your reason C. So what you're going to do is you're going to figure out which documents back up which of your reasons. Now what does it mean if all 3 of my documents back up one of my reasons? It's a solid argument, right? That means that reason 1, if let's say A, B, and C back up my first reason, that's a solid argument, right? But what if just one of them backs it up? Yeah, I might need to find another reason, okay? You want to have at least 2 of your documents, back up your reason. It could be more, okay? So step 5 is you're going to create your thesis. Now that's really hard to do, but we're going to teach you how to write a good thesis in here, a foolproof thesis. Y'all, I'm working on my doctorate. I got 3 master's degrees. I've been using the same formula. I'm going to teach you all the way through grad school. I promise you it works. Okay? If you'll remember this, you can get through college and write good papers. Okay? Number 6, now we're going to stop at step 5 for the mini Q. Okay? But for the full DBQ, then you're going to write your introduction, which is going to include your thesis statement. Then you're going to write your 3 body paragraphs with citations. That's very important. You have to cite each of your documents. Then you're going to write your conclusion, which is basically just restating what you said in your introduction, including your thesis statement. Step 9, this is where everybody forgets. What do you need to do? Proofread it. Check for errors. Let your buddy read over it. Sometimes we read things back to ourselves the way we meant it rather than the way we actually wrote it. You ever had that happen before? Like you typed out this really long Facebook status or something, and you look at it later and you're like, my goodness, I can't spell for crap today, right? And then you realize, I need to fix this. Or somebody else corrected you and it made you mad. You're like, you know what I meant, but look for those things. Then you submit it, okay? And I'll show you how to submit it. You'll submit, you guys, since it's on a Google Doc, you're going to submit it on Google Classroom. Don't email it to me, okay? Don't hit the share button and share it with me, because that means I got to go through all of my emails just to find your paper. I want you to submit it on Google Classroom. If it's on a Google form, all you have to do is click submit. But y'all's is on here. All right, so step one, again, analyze. In the Constitution DBQ, these are all the things you have. Usually you have a background essay, which there's 5 questions that go with that. Then there's document A, it has 5 questions, B, 5 questions, C, 5 questions, D, 6 questions. Answer each completely to the best of your ability. In the Constitution DBQ for U.S. history, when they have done this, they have analyzed the documents. Now they're supposed to be experts on all of these documents, and they can move on to step 2, okay? Step 2 is you have to choose your side or argument. Now looking back at the question, how did the Constitution guard against tyranny? Now the first job is to decide yes or no it didn't. Did it guard against tyranny or did it not? Well, here's the question for you guys, just a real simple one. I know you're in world history, but we're sitting here in 2019. The Constitution was written back in the 1700s, 1780s. Have we pretty well guarded against having a king?
Yeah.
An emperor? Yeah, so I would say it's safe to say, yes, it did, right? But now the question is, how? You're going to have to analyze and see if you can come up with 3 reasons that it guarded against tyranny, okay? This one's pretty easy, but a lot of times they're not so easy, okay? A lot of times you have to really analyze before you can make your mind up. So you're going to make that determination. All right, based on the documents, you're going to come up with 3 reasons it did or didn't guard against tyranny. In this case, let's just say yes, it did. These 3 reasons will become the paragraphs of your paper. Each one of those reasons becomes a body paragraph. Understand? So you got your intro, then you got your 3 body paragraphs. You're going to elaborate on each of your reasons in those paragraphs. Okay, and then you write your conclusion. Separate your documents into 3 sections that are provided on your Google form, or in your case on your Google Doc. For example, if documents A and C both support your second reason, list them there. If document D doesn't, don't put it there. What do you think the reason for that is? Why do I ask you to separate those documents into which ones support which reason?
So you don't have to read back through the whole ones.
There it is. So you don't have to read back through and figure out which ones you need to be looking at. When I'm looking at my first reason, I don't need to reread all 5 of my documents and the background essay. I need to just be looking at the ones that back up reason 1. Then I need to just look at the ones for reason 2. And see, the thing about it is, you're not going to finish all this in one day. This is going to take a few days. And sometimes you forget what was in your first document and what was in your second document. Does that make sense to you? Okay. That's what I call, what is the other way I told you about separating? What did I tell you the name of that is? Bucketing. It's like having a bucket and throwing what supports that reason in each bucket. Step 5, and this is where we stop with the mini-Q, and this is where you'll stop with the world mini-Q. Create your thesis statement. It has its own place on your Google form. Your thesis statement is 1 sentence that tells you 4 things. Okay? Now, if you weren't taking notes just now, you need to take it right this minute, because this is super important. If your thesis statement is wrong, your paper is wrong. Okay? I ought to be able to read your thesis statement and know the whole paper pretty much. Your thesis statement is 1 sentence. You say, Mr. Fordham, this is going to be a long sentence. And I say, so? Okay? Only in certain English classes do they care about that. I don't care about having a long thesis statement. That's okay. Here's the 4 things. Number 1, it's going to tell you what side you chose. Yes or no, the Constitution guarded against tyranny or didn't. And it's going to have your argument. Okay? So let's get what side or what your argument is. So you're going to start it off. The Constitution did guard against tyranny. That would be the first part of my sentence, right? What if I disagreed and said it didn't guard against it? What would it say? Someone raise your hand and give me an example. Nene?
The Constitution didn't guard the tyranny.
The Constitution did not guard against tyranny. And then if I'm about to give a lot of examples why, what should my next conjunction word be? Because, right? So the Constitution did guard against tyranny, or the Constitution did not guard against tyranny because, and then you're going to list reason 1, comma, reason 2, comma, and reason 3, period. That's your thesis statement. But Mr. Fordham, what if it's really long? So? Mr. Fordham, can I break it up into 2 sentences? No. Okay? It's okay for this sentence to be kind of long. You got me? And I'm going to be looking for this, and I hope you're paying attention, because if all I manage to teach you in this process is how to write a good thesis statement, I feel like I've done my job. Okay? Because a lot of kids get to y'all, I got to college and didn't know how to write a thesis statement. I had professors looking at me like I was so dumb, but I didn't have a teacher go through this process with me. I'm giving you a foolproof formula. I'm telling you, I still use it. I wrote a paper last week, I used it. Okay? Now this is a way to look at it in a graphical form. How many of you are visual learners? You like to see a visual? Okay? This is what I call the chicken foot. Okay? This thing right here kind of looks like a chicken leg, and it's got 3 toes. All right? By the way, if you get a chicken foot like this from Little Chick, don't eat it. It shouldn't have toes on it. It should have toes. So the chicken foot, the thesis is the leg. And then each main point or reason is going to be the toes. Okay? So this is an example of one that somebody else came up with. The question was Andrew Carnegie a hero? Now you guys don't know who he is yet, and that's okay. But this would be the DBQ, and this is what the documents would be about. Was Andrew Carnegie a hero? Well, there's going to go one of 2 ways. I'm going to have to make my mind up. He either was or he wasn't. Now, how do I make my mind up about that? Do I just decide which one I want to go with? No. How do I make my decision? Based on the documents, right? So let's say, all right, Carnegie was a hero. Then what's my next part of my sentence going to be? Because, okay, then you're going to list reason 1, reason 2, reason 3. Or he was not. Or perhaps it was a mixture. Some people want to make it real complicated and say, well, he was kind of a hero, kind of not a hero. That's a mixture. I don't recommend you go that way. I recommend you pick one or the other, but sometimes it's appropriate to do that. So here's some examples real quick when I did this with U.S. history. The reasons they came up with, reason number 1 is he put a lot of people out of business. Okay? He was a guy who owned a lot of different businesses, and he put other people out of business. He owned monopolies, which are illegal today. Reason number 2, he had a monopoly. We consider those to be bad, so that's reason number 2. Reason number 3, he hurt small businesses. So those are 3 reasons. So they say he's a hero or not a hero? They say he's not a hero. So you got to make up your mind over here. Carnegie was not a hero because reason 1, reason 2, reason 3. Then you just put that into a sentence. Carnegie, or I would say, put his whole name, Andrew Carnegie was not a hero because, reason 1, he put many people out of business. Reason 2, comma, reason 2, he had a monopoly, comma, and reason 3, he hurt small businesses. That's a good thesis statement. It's got all the parts to it. And when I read that thesis statement, I know what your paper is going to be about. You got me? I know what each of my 3 paragraphs is going to be about. Does this make sense to everybody?
Yes.
Okay. So step 6, this is the part you're not going to do, but I'm going to finish it for the sake of the video. This is where you begin writing your paper. You've done everything. You've done your analysis. You've chosen your side, you've come up with your reasons, you've bucketed, you've written your thesis statement. Guess what? It's time to write your paper. You're going to write your introduction. Should be at least 3 sentences. It's got to have your thesis statement in it, word for word. So you'll have a place for your thesis statement on your form. Then you're going to, literally, you can copy and paste it into your introduction, word for word. You got me? All right. Then you're going to write your 3 body paragraphs. Each one corresponds to your 3 reasons. So, for example, reason 1 is going to be described in paragraph 2, right? Because that's body paragraph 1. Reason 2 will be described in paragraph 3, or body paragraph 2. And reason 3 will be described in paragraph 4, which is body paragraph 3. Okay? You've got to include your documents that you separated in step 4 to back that up. Oh, I went too far. I guess I looked at it too hard. I didn't touch it. Y'all saw me. Then you've got to cite when you use your documents. Now, you guys don't have to worry about this on a mini-Q, but when you do the full thing, you have to cite. You have to cite. Okay? If I got a piece of information from document A, I have to cite document A. How do I do that? At the end of the sentence, I'm going to put parentheses, and inside of that, doc period A. Okay? That's what I have to do. If the very next sentence came from document B, then I have to do the same thing, doc period B. What if I got the information from a background essay? Inside parentheses, background essay. Okay? I should see lots of citations. I shouldn't just see 1 citation in a paragraph. That means only one of your documents backed up your reason, and that means it's too what? If it's too weak, you need to come up with a different one. You got to cite every sentence you use information from, every single sentence. So let's say the first sentence came from document A. I need to put document A. The second sentence came from document A. Guess what I need to put again? Document A. Okay? The third sentence came from document B. I need to put doc B, right? Cite, cite, cite. It's better to oversight than undercite. Because if you oversight, have you done anything wrong? No, you haven't done anything wrong. You just cited more than you were supposed to. But if you undercite, what are you guilty of? Plagiarism. Okay? That's what happens when you don't give proper credit. That's what I'm trying to train you to do, is always give proper credit. 1 citation for an entire paragraph is not acceptable. You want to use as many documents as possible in your paragraph to make your argument stronger. The more documents you cite in your paragraph, the stronger your argument is. All right? Step 8, write your conclusion. It should be at least 3 sentences long. Include a restated version of your thesis statement. Don't make it word for word, but do include all the same information. So, for example, with the one given in the chicken foot, my thesis is Carnegie was a hero because reason 1, reason 2, reason 3, okay? Or Carnegie was not a hero because of reason 1, reason 2, reason 3. My restated version would be like this. Y'all, I'll be honest with you. Just about every paper I write, my concluding paragraph starts off like this. Almost every stinking one of them. As one can clearly see. In other words, drop the mic, I just proved my point. Okay? As one can clearly see, comma, you'll need to write this. I'm giving you like major hints here. Then restate your dang thesis. Carnegie was a hero because reason 1, reason 2, and reason 3. You got me? So I've given you a foolproof way to do your thesis, and the way to start off your concluding paragraph, and the way to do your restated thesis and your conclusion. You got me? Any questions before I move on? Yes.
Okay, so do the thesis statement come before the Carnegie or the Tyrant?
They're the same thing.
Oh.
Your thesis statement.
Goes together.
Your thesis statement, if it's in your introduction paragraph, it does not have to be the first sentence in the paragraph. You can have an attention grabber for your first sentence in your paragraph, okay? Then you can have something else. It should probably be the last sentence in your first paragraph. That's where I like to see it. But if you do it as your first sentence, I don't care, okay? But in your conclusion, if you're going to do as one can clearly see, that needs to be your first sentence of your concluding paragraph, okay? And then you can do a couple more sentences and you're done with your conclusion. Step 9, proofread. Look for misspelled words. Now this is an important rule. Please write this down. Do not use contractions. What are contractions? They're shortened words. Okay, like do not. What's the contraction for do not? Don't. If it's got a little apostrophe in it and it's not showing possession, you probably don't need to use it. Okay? Don't, can't, won't, shouldn't. In an academic paper, don't use those words. Okay? I know I just contradicted myself by using one when I said don't use contractions, but do not use contractions. All right? Just don't do it, all right? Do not use personal pronouns that refer to yourself in any way. Do not say, I believe. We don't care what you believe. We care what you can prove. Okay? Don't say you. Don't say you. The person doesn't need to know who they are. They know who they are. They're reading the paper. They don't. So you don't need to say those things. Don't say we. Don't say I, us, you, me. The author. Don't say the author. The author believes. No. We know you believe it if you wrote it. Don't tell us you believe it. That's redundant. Now I know that this is like hampering your vocabulary, okay? But it's going to make you a better writer if you can figure out how to not write like that. All right? I'm going to be looking for this stuff. Please don't use contractions. Please don't refer to yourself and don't refer to the reader. Okay? There's no reason to do that. You can do that in English, but you can't do that on an academic paper in social studies. Do not use personal pronouns that refer to the reader in any way. Like I said, don't say you. Like that. Did you notice how I did the last sentence? That sentence that was the restatement of the thesis. Did I say as you can see?
No.
As one can clearly see. So find a way to state it. If you feel like you need to say you, find a way to replace you with one and rephrase it so that it makes sense. Okay? As one can clearly see. That's a cheat to fix that. And step 10, on the Google form, there's a submit button at the bottom. If you have it in a Google Doc, you're going to submit it on Google Classroom. Okay? You got me? All right. So here's an overview of what your essay would look like. First paragraph, introduction, at least 3 sentences. Your thesis statement with your argument and 3 reasons. Then your second paragraph is reason 1, backing up your thesis with at least 5 sentences. All must have documents supporting them with citations. Third paragraph, reason 2, backing up your thesis with at least 5 sentences. All must have documents supporting the citations. Same for fourth paragraph on reason 3. Fifth paragraph, conclusion, 3 sentences. Restated thesis statement with your argument, at least 3 reasons, as one can clearly see, is a good way to start that sentence. You don't have to do it like that, but I'm telling you, it works. Okay? Now there is a way to save your work for later. This isn't going to apply to this world history class I'm talking to right now, but if you happen to have it on a Google form, what you're going to do to save it for later, and you guys just cover your ears just a second, is click submit. Then after you do that, this page is going to pop up and you hit edit your response. When you hit edit your response, it's going to go back to that same form. You're going to go to the address bar up at the top where you would normally type www.google.com or something. It's a really long address. Click on it one time or double click if you have to highlight the whole thing and copy it. Okay? You're going to copy that address. Then you're going to log into your email. You're going to paste that into the body of your email. and then you're gonna send that email to yourself. Okay, so when you send it to yourself, you'll be able to open up and it'll have all of the work that you've done up to that point. So say you didn't finish it, you'd be able to finish it later by doing this. If you don't do this, you're gonna lose all your work. Okay, so if you do this on a Google form, make sure you follow this, this particular way to do things. All right, now, the DBQ assignment that we're doing for this class is the fall of Rome, okay? The fall of Rome. So again, we're going to go through that same process. The question is, what were the primary reasons for the fall of Rome? So first of all, what does it mean that Rome fell? Does anybody talk to me?
The economy, like, fell.
You are giving me reasons, but what does it mean that Rome fell? It was destroyed, or
There's no good no more.
okay, so you have to make your mind up. What does that even mean that Rome fell? Okay, so initial ideas about that. Write some ideas down. What does it mean that Rome fell? Well, do we have a massive Roman Empire anymore? No. So something happened to it. It's gone. Then you have to make your mind up about why that happened. Okay, so you're going to go through that same process that we already talked about, except that we're going to stop at after reason 5. After you create your thesis, you're done with this one. Okay, we're not writing the actual essay. Okay, so it's going to look the same as what we just talked about for the Constitution one. So you're going to choose your side. You're going to look back at the question, what were the reasons for the fall of Rome? So first we decide yes it fell or no it didn't. Well, obviously I think it fell because it ain't here anymore, right? It's gone. Then based on the documents you're going to make that determination, and then you got to come up with the 3 reasons it fell. Okay? These 3 reasons are going to become the paragraphs in our paper, in our pretend paper that we're not going to write. Okay? Separate your documents. If document A and C support second reason, there it is. If D doesn't, it doesn't. You're going to create your thesis statement. Okay? What side were you on? Yes, it fell, or no, it didn't fall, and then state your reasons. Reason 1, 2, and 3. All right? Chicken foot again. All right? So what's the leg part going to be for our chicken foot for the fall of Rome?
Rome did or did not fall.
Your argument. Rome, the reasons are Rome fell because, right? Or Rome did not fall. If you make that determination, you're going to have to come up with 3 reasons that state it didn't fall. You're going to have a hard time proving that since there's no Roman Empire anymore, right? So it's probably just safe to say, yes, Rome fell. Rome fell because, and come up with your 3 reasons, all right? Then, after that, you're done. But if we were to continue, you'd write your introduction, you'd construct your body paragraphs and cite and all that good stuff. You'd write your conclusion. You restate your thesis. You proofread it. You wouldn't use contractions. You wouldn't use personal pronouns. You wouldn't refer to the reader. And then you'd submit it to me, and you're going to do that on Google Classroom, okay? Your essay would look something like that. Now, okay, so that's going to be it. That's how you do the DBQ process.